Imagine walking into a fast food restaurant. You hand over a few crumpled bills or swipe your card, and in less than 3 minutes, a greasy paper bag lands in your hand. A burger, fries, maybe a soda. You think you just bought a cheap meal. But what you don't realize is this, that 6, 10, or 15 you just spent is part of a machine that has learned to manufacture money out of thin air. Fast food chains like McDonald's, KFC, Burger King, and Taco Bell aren't just selling food, they are secretly running one of the most powerful cash printing industries in the world. And here's the paradox. Their product isn't really the burger. It isn't even the fries. It's the system they've engineered around real estate, marketing, psychology, addictive science, and financial engineering. That system doesn't just feed you, it extracts your wallet, feeds Wall Street, and quietly generates billions every single quarter. The everyday illusion. When you bite into a Big Mac, you probably think, this is just fast food. Cheap, quick, nothing special. But if you zoom out, what you're actually looking at is the endpoint of a multi-trillion-dollar ecosystem, one that has perfected the art of turning cheap ingredients into gold, hooking customers through engineered cravings, owning the land underneath their stores like hidden landlords, franchising their risk so other people carry the burden while they collect fees. Every soda you buy, every extra slice of cheese, every "would you like fries with that?" is another lever in their money printing press. The hidden numbers. Let's put this in perspective. McDonald's alone brings in over $25 billion in annual revenue. Starbucks, yes, fast food counts for coffee chains too, generates 36 billion yuan a year. The fast food industry globally, 900 billion yuan, and climbing, expected to cross 1 trillion by 2030. And here's the kicker. Much of that revenue isn't just about selling food. It's about controlling the illusion of cheap meals while extracting wealth through hidden systems. Why this matters. This isn't just about food. This is about power. The same one burger that looks harmless on your tray is tied to real estate empires, stock market manipulation, debt financing tricks, and psychological warfare on your taste buds. The combo meal that feels like a bargain is often a carefully calculated upsell that multiplies profit margins beyond what you'd expect. The value menu isn't charity, it's bait, designed to funnel you into higher margin items that print money at scale. The central question. So here's the mystery we're going to unravel. How did a handful of fast food companies turn greasy burgers and salty fries into one of the most sophisticated billion-dollar wealth machines on Earth? The answer is more shocking than you think. Because when you peel back the golden arches, the fried chicken buckets, and the taco shells, you'll see something that looks less like a restaurant and more like a money printing press disguised as food. And this is where the story begins. Fast food. Two words that sound harmless, even comforting. It's the burger after school, the late night fries with friends, the quick coffee before work. We think of it as food cheap, convenient, forgettable. But what if I told you that fast food chains aren't really in the food business at all? What if I told you that the real business, the hidden business, is so powerful that burgers and fries are just a front? Because here's the truth. Behind every one burger, every 3 coffee, and every family meal deal lies a machine that prints billions of dollars without ever flipping a single patty. A machine built on contracts and fees you'll never see. A machine where every storefront is less a restaurant and more a bank disguised as a burger joint. A machine so effective that McDonald's, KFC, and Starbucks could shut down their kitchens tomorrow and still survive, even thrive. Here's the big promise. By the end of this story, you'll understand why calling McDonald's a burger company is the biggest lie in business. You'll see how fast food giants quietly became real estate empires, financial syndicates, and branding machines using food only as bait. And once you see it, You'll never be able to walk past those golden arches the same way again. Fast food feels timeless, as though the golden arches have always stood tall over our highways and street corners. But in reality, the industry is younger than it looks, a post-war invention, born not just from hunger but from the collision of technology, culture, and economics. To understand how fast food chains secretly print billions today, we first need to step back to when they weren't billion-dollar empires at all, when they were dusty roadside stands, small family diners, and neighborhood burger shacks. Because hidden inside that story is a single truth. Fast food wasn't designed to serve food, it was designed to serve scale. 1. The Seed, California, 1940s. Picture America in the 1940s. Highways stretching into the horizon, cars becoming the heartbeat of daily life, families moving into brand new suburbs. The American dream was on the move, fast, restless, hungry. In this world, a pair of brothers in San Bernardino, California, opened a small drive-in called McDonald's BBQ. They served 25 menu items, had car hops on roller skates, and played into the growing culture of eating on the go. But something about that model felt broken. Too slow, too chaotic, too small to grow. So in 1948, they did something radical. They scrapped the whole menu and replaced it with just 9 items. Burgers, fries, milkshakes, and sodas. They tore down the car hop system and replaced it with a kitchen designed like an assembly line. They called it the Speedy Service System. This was the moment fast food was born. Food, stripped of artistry, turned into an industrial product. And at first glance, it looked like a revolution about cheap meals. In reality, it was something bigger, a revolution about standardization. 2. The myth of convenience. Fast food didn't sell itself on quality, it sold itself on myth. The myth was simple, fast, affordable, for everyone. McDonald's ran ads about feeding the family for less than $1. White Castle sold itself as clean and modern at a time when street food was seen as dirty. Later, chains like Burger King and Wendy's pitched themselves as the friendlier, faster alternative to cooking at home. But underneath that myth was the quiet realization: this model could be replicated infinitely. If every burger looked the same, tasted the same, and cost the same, then McDonald's in San Bernardino could just as easily exist in Chicago, then New York, then Tokyo. The product wasn't food. The product was consistency. 3. Enter the empire builders. By the 1950s, entrepreneurs like Ray Kroc, McDonald's, Colonel Harland Sanders, KFC, and Glenn Bell, Taco Bell, saw what the McDonald brothers had created and thought bigger. Ray Kroc, in particular, didn't just sell burgers. He sold a system. A franchise model where local operators could buy into the brand, follow the rules, and churn out burgers like clockwork. But here's the part most people don't realize. The real genius wasn't the franchise model itself. It was the real estate model hidden inside it. Kroc understood something few did at the time. Fast food wasn't about food, it was about land. By controlling the land under every franchise, McDonald's Corporation could collect rent from its franchisees. Every burger sold was secondary. The real cash flowed from property ownership. This quiet shift turned McDonald's into one of the largest real estate empires in the world, disguised as a burger chain. 4. The Highway Gold Rush. The timing was perfect. In 1956, President Eisenhower signed the Federal Aid Highway Act, unleashing 41 0-miles of interstate roads across America. Suddenly, cars weren't just a luxury, they were a necessity. Suburbs exploded, Long drives became routine, and families on the move needed somewhere cheap, quick, and predictable to eat. Fast food chains swarmed to the highways, planting their neon signs like flags. Every exit became a battlefield. McDonald's versus Burger King versus Wendy's. And the winner wasn't decided by taste, it was decided by location. Whoever controlled the best plots of land won. And so, the scam deepened. To the average family, it looked like a choice between burgers. To the corporations, it was really a game of monopoly with real estate. 5. The business within the business. By the 1960s and 70s, fast food had become America's new normal. But beneath the golden arches, the mechanics of money told a very different story. Franchisees took on massive loans to buy the right to operate. Corporations sold them not just branding, but also locked-in supply contracts for buns, beef, and soda syrup. And above all, rent checks flowed back to headquarters, turning every McDonald's into a miniature ATM for corporate. This is why McDonald's today earns more money as a landlord than as a restaurant. In fact, according to their own filings, 85% of McDonald's revenue comes not from selling burgers but from rent and franchise fees. The food is just bait. The money is in the system. 6. The global export. As America globalized, so did fast food. By the 1980s and 90s, McDonald's, KFC, and Pizza Hut weren't just selling food abroad. They were exporting the franchise model. In Russia, the first McDonald's opened in Moscow in 1990, a symbol of capitalism itself. In China, KFC became the dominant Western brand by embedding itself into urban planning. Everywhere these chains went, they brought the same playbook. Control the land, lock in supply contracts, and turn local entrepreneurs into rent-paying franchisees. By the time the 2000s rolled around, fast food wasn't just food. It was one of the most powerful financial machines. The scam isn't just food, it's a neuroscience-level manipulation of human behavior. The big twist. Fast food isn't just competing for your money, it's competing for your brain chemistry. It's not about hunger anymore, it's about control. Fast food may feel cheap and convenient, but the true cost is hidden, paid by our bodies, our wallets, and the planet. 1. The health bill. Fast food is directly linked to obesity, diabetes, and heart disease. A single meal can contain more than the daily recommended salt and sugar. By 2025, over 700 million adults worldwide will be obese, and fast food is one of the top drivers. In the US alone, diet-related diseases cost the healthcare system over $150 billion every year. You thought you were saving $5 on a burger. In reality, taxpayers and your future self are footing thousands in medical bills. 2. The economic trap. Fast food companies pay workers minimum wage, while executives take home tens of millions. Most workers don't earn enough to live, forcing them to rely on government assistance programs. Translation? Taxpayers subsidize fast food labor costs while companies pocket billions. And those cheap meals? They're artificially cheap because we're paying the difference in taxes. 3. The environmental fallout. Beef production for burgers is one of the biggest contributors to climate change. Cattle farming, deforestation, jiaon, methane gas. One burger equals the same water footprint as 32 showers. Packaging creates mountains of waste, most of it not recyclable, despite marketing claims. The fast food model thrives on single-use culture. Eat fast, throw away fast. 4. The generational debt. Kids growing up on fast food face shorter lifespans than their parents. Entire communities, especially low-income areas, become food deserts. where the only option is fast food. So the system doesn't just affect individuals, it locks entire generations into a cycle of poor health and poverty. 5. The ironic twist. The two-burger you grab in a drive-thru actually costs hundreds in hidden healthcare, tax subsidies, and environmental damage. Which means that cheap meal isn't cheap at all, it's one of the most expensive scams on earth. And yet, despite knowing all this, we keep going back. Why? Because the industry engineered it that way. Here, we expose how fast food corporations don't just sell burgers, they rewrite the rules of the game. 1. Lobbying power. The fast food, processed food industry spends hundreds of millions on lobbying every year. They influence laws on health labeling, taxes, advertising restrictions. Example: attempts to add warning labels on sugary drinks, killed by lobbying. They shape the very policies that are supposed to regulate them. 2. The science manipulation. Companies fund biased studies to downplay health risks. In the 1970s, the sugar industry literally paid Harvard scientists to shift blame from sugar to fat. Fast food companies today use the same playbook: fund research, muddy the waters, confuse the public. 3. Marketing warfare. Billions are spent on psychological advertising. Colors, jingles, mascots. They target children as young as 2 years old. Happy Meals, toys, cartoons. The fun branding is not an accident. It's a carefully engineered pipeline to create lifelong customers. 4. The choice illusion. Industry defends itself with, nobody forces you to eat fast food. But in reality, they flood communities with locations. They price it cheaper than healthy options. They bury health costs in the future, so choices don't feel real. It's not choice, it's predatory design. 5. The ultimate con. They've managed to rewrite the law, rewrite the science, rewrite your psychology. And the result? You feel like you're making free choices when in reality, you're playing their scripted game. But even though the truth is out there, here's the scary part. Why doesn't anyone stop them? Here's where we show viewers the final layer of the scam. The very institutions meant to protect people are either powerless or complicit. 1. Government complicity. Many regulators rely on industry funding or are pressured by lobbyists. The revolving door. Executives move from fast food companies into government positions, then back to industry. Example: USDA promoting both healthy eating guidelines and meat, dairy consumption at the same time. Conflict of interest is baked into the system. 2. Weak laws, loopholes. Advertising restrictions for children, easily sidestepped. Healthy menu requirements. Loopholes allow sugar, loaded drinks, and fried foods to count as meals. No strict penalties. Even if caught misleading the public, companies pay a fine that's just a tiny fraction of their profit. 3. Global export of the scam. It's not just America fast food giants push into developing countries. With weaker regulations, marketing is even more aggressive. Result: obesity and diabetes rise sharply in countries that never faced these problems before. 4. Why change rarely happens. Public outrage comes in waves. Documentaries, lawsuits, bans. But industry has deep pockets, political allies, and armies of lawyers. By the time one law passes, they've already shifted to another strategy. 5. The brutal truth. Governments don't protect citizens fully because they're often too intertwined with corporate power. So, the watchdogs become lapdogs. And this leads us to the most important question yet. If the system is rigged, what does it mean for you, the everyday person? Here's how it touches your life, your wallet, your health, and your family. 1. Your wallet. Paying for your own exploitation. The cheap 5 meal isn't actually cheap. Hidden costs include healthcare bills from diet-related diseases, diabetes, heart disease. Taxpayer subsidies. Billions go into corn, soy, and beef production, so you're funding fast food even if you don't eat it. Environmental cleanup costs from packaging waste, factory farming pollution. So in reality, the cheap burger is more expensive than a homemade meal, but you're tricked into thinking it's a bargain. 2. Your health, a slow poison. Obesity, diabetes, hypertension, and heart disease. All skyrocketing since fast foods rise. Emotional toll. Depression and stress linked to processed diets. Addiction. Salt, sugar, fat combinations rewire the brain like a drug. You're not just eating food, you're being engineered to crave more. 3. Your children. The generational trap. Kids targeted with mascots, toys, and ads before they can even spell. Result: a cycle of unhealthy habits passed down. Fast food isn't a treat, it becomes a lifestyle. And the earlier the hook, the harder it is to break free. 4. Your environment. The silent cost. Forests cut down for cattle grazing. Plastic waste filling oceans. Methane emissions from livestock accelerating climate change. But the bill for the damage doesn't go to corporations, it lands in your future. 5. The psychological toll. You're made to feel like it's your fault if you're overweight or unhealthy. In reality, you're fighting against a $1 trillion machine designed to overpower your biology. This shame cycle benefits the industry. You blame yourself, not them. 6. The punchline takeaway. The scam isn't abstract. It's not out there. It's in your daily life. Your bloodstream, your kid's lunchbox, and your monthly bills. Now that the personal cost is clear, we're ready to bring this journey to a powerful close. This is the synthesis moment. We've exposed the scam, shown the winners, losers, and revealed the personal cost. Now we step back and show the whole picture. 1. The scam in one line. Fast food isn't food. It's a business model, one that thrives on cutting costs, addicting customers, and externalizing every hidden price onto society. Everything we've uncovered boils down to this truth. The system is rigged, and you're the product. 2. The domino effect. Zoom out. When corporations profit, taxpayers subsidize. When people get sick, hospitals profit, pharma profits. When the environment suffers, governments step in with cleanup funded by citizens. And the cycle continues. It's not just a scam, it's an ecosystem of exploitation. 3. Why it matters now. Health crises are worse than ever. Climate impact is accelerating. AI-driven ads. Yawn. TikTok virality. Make manipulation stronger than ever before. Kids growing up today will be the most marketed to generation in history. If we don't see the scam for what it is now, it only gets bigger. 4. The viewer's position in the story. This is where we hand the story back to the audience. You've seen how this machine works. You can keep feeding it, or you can start resisting it. Awareness is the first weapon. Once you see the strings, you can't be controlled by the puppet master. 5. Emotional framing. David versus Goliath. Viewers feel small compared to billion-dollar corporations. Reframe it. They need you more than you need them. Every purchase is a vote. Every choice is pressure. Change doesn't start with governments. It starts with people refusing to be scammed. 6. Transition into call to action. We don't end with doom, we end with empowerment. Yaone, curiosity gap. So, The next time you see a one burger or a recycling bin or a slick ad promising you a better world, ask yourself, is this really what it seems or just another billion-dollar scam in disguise? So here's the real takeaway. Fast food chains don't just make money by selling food, they print it in plain sight. They've turned cravings into currency, psychology into profit, and human behavior into one of the most predictable machines in history. The question is, now that you know, what will you do with it? Will you keep feeding the system, or finally step outside of it? Because every time you order that combo meal, every time you tap that delivery app, you're not just buying food, you're casting a vote for the billion D